Good morning. We're going to go ahead and call the August 3rd Stormwater Management to order. A roll call, please.
Rummel,
Here.
Desart, Eckhoff, Garcia,
Here.
Krajewski, Nero,
Here.
Hojak, Police,
Here.
Tornatori, Yusuf, Zay.
Here. Okay. Member Nero here. Our state's attorney, can you explain what the standards are for attending meetings? I would assume he would not be able to vote. He's here for appearance only.
Yes, sections, part of the Open Meetings Act, section 7A, permits members to attend remotely due to illness or disability, employment purposes, or for public business or family or other emergencies.
Just, yeah, so Steve, are you at work?
Yes.
Well, he would have to notify the clerk, the committee secretary, prior to the meeting if he wishes to participate remotely, unless the notice is impractical.
Okay. Well, as we move through this, we'll have to get some kind of clarification so we know where everybody is on this. So for today, is there a motion to let member Nero participate via Zoom?
Second.
Moved by member Desart, seconded by member Garcia. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that carries. Move on to public comment. We have public comment. Public comment is limited 3 minutes per person.
No, I'm sorry.
Nobody signed up. Okay, great. Chairman's remarks, don't have a lot. Just again, remember to push your microphone if you want to speak. We'll move on to approval of the minutes. There a motion to approve the minutes of July.
So moved.
Yeah, that's fine. No minutes.
My apologies. I will check on that.
Okay. So we'll skip that. We'll bring those back next month. Move on to the consent agenda. Your motion to approve the consent agenda? Moved by member
Second, Brummel.
Hojak, second by member Brummel. No consent agenda either? You have no item? Oh, okay. Take those out if we don't have them. Okay, we're moving along smoothly here today. Move on to item 7. I know there's claims because I looked at those. Is there a motion to approve the payment of claims? Moved by member Desart.
Second.
Seconded by member Garcia. Any questions? Member Desart?
On 7A, on page 3, there's $14,220 and $7,227.50 to Conservation Foundation for Water Quality Education. What is this? Is this a donation? Is this?
No, for our NPDES permit for the EPA, we have a contract with the Conservation Foundation. It's an annual contract for water quality education. We provide for all of the communities of DuPage County. We provide outreach and water quality education, which is part of our EPA compliance measures. And so we contract with the Conservation Foundation. Likely, we may be coming forward with a new education contract. And so you'll be voting on that in the near future for some consultant.
Thank you. And who is educated? Is this for students? Is this for mayors and managers?
Well,
who is this for?
For Conservation Foundation, they help us with the public. So they're the ones who do our seminars.
Yeah. Okay.
So
All right.
We
Just
do
wanted
all
to
that. And then Scarce does the
Water quality.
kids and water quality for that
Thank
with the
you.
schools.
Mhm.
Yes, that probably should come up next month. I pulled it this month, so it'll come up next month.
You pulled what?
We're going to bring the contract this month. I just brought it for next month. We had a lot of stuff going on, so.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other question on the payment of claims? Oh, okay. Member Yusuf is now on. Do we have that? Is there a motion to make him a member of committee?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by member Garcia, second by member Desart. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Let's see, we have no budget transfers. Move on to staff reports. Any questions on staff reports? Hearing none, is there a motion to receive?
Second.
Moved by member Desart, second by member Garcia. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move on to action item. SMR 35221. Do I have a motion to approve the grant authority to stormwater management to provide limited services on privately property drainage systems and structures?
So moved.
Garcia, second by member Desart. Any questions? Want to explain a little, Sarah, on that?
Sure, I certainly can. Throughout recent years, we have noticed that many detention ponds owned by homeowners associations as well as other entities, a lot of these groups don't necessarily have the means to maintain them or ensure that the inlets and outlets are properly maintained, which all the little pieces of that really wreak havoc on our global stormwater system. And so we've worked with the state's attorney to get authority, once we get permission from the HOAs or other groups, to go in and assist with their detention pond maintenance and cleaning. We're hoping to be able to do this a little more robustly in the future. Yes. Member
So
Nunzio.
when the county goes in and does that, do you charge the homeowners association or how does that work?
If we can.
No, I'm bringing that up because I know we have some issues.
The problem is a lot of these they build these subdivisions, then they disappear.
Right.
And that's the problem. We're having a lot of localized flooding because we have nobody maintaining these ponds at that point, either the municipality or the county. So we're looking at a program to go in there and be able to, look at these, look at the outlets, look at the inlets, and hopefully clean those out ourselves. And that should help a lot in the local neighborhoods. And if there's a homeowners association, obviously we'd have to get their okay and their authority to do it. And we would talk about a fee contract. I don't know if they would do it or not, but again, we got to outweigh the public good to know what we can do on that. Any other questions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B. Is there a motion on PWR 35521, DuPage River Salt Creek Work Group membership dues, stormwater amount in the amount of $34,147.68.
So moved. Second.
Second by member Garcia. Any questions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, presentation. I know Sarah's been talking to the mayor all weekend. Get your presentation ready. You do that first. Ready to print my Sheila would call me.
So Wendy, this doesn't seem to be working. Forward it. So I'll just go next slide. Okay. There, now it's working. Thank you. Okay, good morning, members of the DuPage County Stormwater Management Planning Committee. I am, as everyone knows, Sarah Hunt, Director for the department. And for those of you who don't know, who may be tuning in from home or on our Zoom link, we are presenting our fiscal year 22 budget, as well as our tentative plan for our recovery funding request for the department. We previously put a quick presentation for our recovery fund request through to the county board. However, we wanted to bring it forward to the Stormwater Management Planning Committee, as you are our governing body. Starting off, as everyone knows, our mission of the Stormwater Management Department is to protect the citizens and businesses of DuPage County from the adverse effects of stormwater, and that includes both water quantity and water quality. We are governed by the DuPage County Stormwater Management Planning Committee, and our planning committee is made up of 6 elected officials from the county board, 1 from each county board district, as well as 6 appointed municipal representatives, also 1 from each county board district. We're funded primarily through the county's property tax. However, we do receive a supplement from the general fund. We do have approximately 39 full-time employees in our head count. Our current active employees, we have 37 with one position that we are actively pursuing, and our 39th position we held off in fiscal year 21 because of budgetary concerns from the county. We do have 6 program areas, which we've talked about several times, and our budget does cover all 6 of the program areas. And so I want to first start with our program funding, starting out with how we are funded and our various sources of revenue into our program. Our property tax is approximately $9.4 million. All of these numbers are in millions. Our property tax is approximately $9.4 million. And we do receive into the stormwater management program a supplement, as I previously mentioned, from the general fund, as well as our drainage program, which serves only unincorporated DuPage, which is required to come from the general fund. That is around $500,000 into the drainage program, depending on what we are forecasting for future years. We also receive interest, stormwater permit fees that we collect from our permits that we do for all of the county, as well as reimbursement from other funds, including grant funds. Through our shared services program, we've been able to take in both revenue and offset costs for the taxpayers of DuPage County. Our shared services program, if all of you may remember, we did win a NACO award, a national award, Best in Show for our shared services program 3 years ago. And we've shown that we can offset about $4.6 million countywide by our shared services program. So looking at the bottom line of our revenue, we are around $13.5 million annually. We've stayed pretty steady with our revenue. When you take in property tax and as well as permit fees, we can forecast that out pretty well and manage to keep our revenue pretty steady. However, when you look at our program expenditures, it's not as smooth and steady as our revenue. First of all, last year when we submitted our annual budget, we submit an annual plan, and our proposed 2022 budget is actually less than we forecasted for our 2022 budget when we completed it in fiscal year 21. We were able to do that because we did a reorganization early in the year of fiscal year 21, and we had a cost savings in headcount allocation, which still is carrying through into fiscal year 22. Also, you will see in our fiscal year projected budget between fiscal year 21 and 22 that our program expenses in 21 was significantly less than other years. And I'm actually going to switch to the graph, which is a better representation of this. The large dip down in our fiscal year 21 projected revenues is because we did have our expenditures is because we had a large bond payment drop off. We had a $5 million bond payment that went away at the beginning of fiscal year 21. However, we do still have program expenditures in fiscal year 22 that bring our expenses back up. Some of the main reasons we have those expenditures is talk about our capital infrastructure and our capital outlay. So our capital projects, which is our main infrastructure projects that we are completing here at the county, as well as maintenance of our already owned capital facilities, is the largest portion of our fiscal year 2022 budget, with exception of personnel and headcount. What you will see in our fiscal year 22 budget is a large expenditure at the Elmhurst Quarry. We actually projected this as an initial expenditure in fiscal year 21. However, due to the budget concerns we were facing at the beginning of fiscal year 21, we pushed that out to fiscal year 22 to ensure that we weren't going to have an issue budgetary wise in fiscal year 21. So that's around $1 million to replace the pipes in the east lobe of the Elmhurst Quarry. This is something that we found when we were doing maintenance on the pipes, that one of the large pipes connected to the pump actually has a hole in it that cannot be repaired. In addition to that, we also have some other expenditures as far as capital purchases. We have 2 items for equipment purchase. One thing to notice with our equipment purchase, when we do cost share with the Public Works Department. We found that is more economically justified for 2 departments to share a piece of equipment. And so it's not sitting in the parking lot 50% of the year instead of that. Stormwater is using it half the time, Public Works is using it half the time, and just being smarter about how we're using our tax dollars. In addition to that, we do have one vehicle purchase, one vehicle replacement, and that's for a 1999 Chevy truck. So it does meet the criteria for replacement. It's just been in good working order until this year. And we found that because of reliability, we do need to replace this Chevy truck. The only other item I really want to point out in our capital outlay is that we have a $200,000 cost expenditure for purchase of flood-prone properties. And this is solely for the purpose of going out and trying to get grants for flood-prone property purchases. $200,000 isn't going to do much in the way of purchasing a structure in DuPage County. However, when we apply for grants through the state and federal government, because we include purchase of flood-prone property and a financial allocation in our annual budget as approved when it gets approved by the chairman, the state and federal government look at this as a way that we are investing in our own purchase infrastructure. And so we've been very successful in getting grants because of that. We've purchased well over 100 flood-prone structures in the history of our program because of making smart investments like we are in our budget this year. In addition to that, we have a capital reserve fund. This fund is a set-aside fund, as many people know, for maintenance and replacement of our large capital facility needs. In fiscal year 21, we hired a consultant to do a complete analysis of our capital infrastructure as well as our reserve fund, and found it to be slightly lacking for what we anticipated in the next 10 years. So our capital reserve fund investment is slightly larger than it has been in the past. However, we do expect that to level out in the next 5 years after we make the significant investments we need to in our facilities. And so that's the main portion of the stormwater management program and budget. If you guys have any questions on our specific budget, I can answer them at this time, or myself and Chairman Zay are always available to answer additional questions at any time.
Any questions? Obviously, after, if you have questions, please let us know, email or give us a call.
And we will email out this presentation as well, so you can see the numbers a little larger. But I did want to make sure we had them here as well. Okay, and so that is the overview of our fiscal year 2022 budget. And now I'm going to go through what the Stormwater Management Department is requesting of the County Board for the American Rescue Plan Act. Just a little bit of history for those of you who haven't been involved up to this point. The county has been projected to receive an allocation of around $180 million from the American Rescue Plan Act. To date, approximately $90 million of that amount has been received. The final $90 million should be received into the county fund in May 2022. Eligible expenses for the rescue plan are retroactive back to March 2021, and all funds must be spent by December 2026. And so going into more detail, the Stormwater Management Department put forward 2 requests. Our first allocation is essentially what we know is shovel ready and what we think we can do in the next year. Our second allocation is a program that we are looking to accomplish in out years. And so I will go into detail of both of those allocations in just a second. One thing I want to point out is that although we are requesting around $22 million for the Stormwater Management Department, we do believe that working with municipalities, state and federal government funding opportunities, that we can actually use that 20 million as leverage to get at least another 13 million in capital projects for the county, if not more. So going into our first request, one thing I want to point out is that the recovery fund specifically pointed out that stormwater infrastructure was a priority. We tuned into the department, and we've been working on our request since we first got word of that. Our initial request of 4.8 million involves reimbursement of staff time from March 2021, as well as allocation of staff time through the first request period. In addition to that, we have money allocated for contractual services, and that's for design engineering and permitting engineering on the capital projects that we hope to do in the future, as well as final construction oversight for the projects that we believe are shovel ready at this time. We do have two projects that we do believe are shovel ready. They were in the county's capital plan that was sent to legislature. However, we've, although trying for several grants, have yet to get funding from other sources. And so we've included this in our rescue plan funds. Some key things to note is that we did look at projects that were shovel ready, that they had significant flood improvements, and that we still may also get grant support from the state, which is a qualifying grant support. And so that is our first funding request of 4.8 million. And as soon as, if approved by the county board, we are ready to move forward with the projects listed or noted. And then our second allocation that we are asking for is approximately 17.3 million. Some key things of this larger fund is that all funds must be obligated by 2024. That means for construction projects, they should be bid out and awarded by 2024, giving 2 years for construction period. The funds must be completely spent by December 2026, and they cannot be used as federal grant match. And so Army Corps project programs that would require a grant match, as well as US EPA and FEMA projects, are all ineligible for grant match for these programs. That's important to note. However, we are still working with the state of Illinois on grant match funding for projects, as well as local governments. And the final note is that all projects must meet the requirements for the State Revolving Loan Fund, which is an EPA program. Going into a deeper dive, we believe that we have about 1.3 million of our project funds that can be utilized for staff time, either direct allocation or reimbursement, as well as contractual services, which is that engineering and design, as well as construction oversight from consultants. We have proposed what we're calling an on-call contract for $2 million. This is one large bid contract where we can go in and perhaps do some of that detention pond maintenance, some stream stabilization, small pipes, or other projects like that. This is really a way, instead of having $1,500,000 projects going through the bid process and going and taking the time and inefficiency of going through 15 different bid processes, we can do one bid on-call contract for various scope and optimize both time and resources for that. And so we are looking at approximately $2 million that we think we can utilize that contract for. And as many people know, all of the municipalities in DuPage County are eligible for recovery funds. However, at this time, we don't believe the townships are. And so we have been working with the township highway commissioners through our drainage program to line out areas where they have stormwater infrastructure needs. And we would look at township set-asides. And our rough estimate is a 50-50 match with the townships. None of this is set in stone. This is what we're proposing for our second allocation that we'll be working to hone in on in the next year. And the final item is a $13 million ask for both county priority projects. These are projects that were included in the county capital infrastructure plan, as well as a municipal match program. Many of the municipalities within DuPage County have been very successful utilizing our water quality grant program, which is a local and county match program. And we've gotten great responses on that when we've talked to the municipalities. And so we found that the best way to optimize our capital infrastructure funds is also to come up with a municipal grant program match. And so we'll be working again to hone in on what the requirements of that will be if the committee finds that that is a good program for us to move forward with, and work on that over the next year of taking in applications, evaluating these projects, and hopefully moving forward with many of them through 2022 and 2023. Again, to have those funds obligated by 2024. And so that is what we are proposing from the Stormwater Management Department for our recovery funds. I'll take any questions that the department has, or as always, you can ask myself or Chairman Zay.
Member Sir.
Thank you, Chairman. I was just wondering about the county priority projects of $13 million. I know that when the American Rescue Plan came out, the guidelines where stormwater was important, water quality was important in that initiative. So are we sure that all of that $13 million would qualify for ARPA funds? And I'm asking that because we've got a lot of people asking for a lot of money. And I want to be able to help as many departments and entities as we possibly can. So are we sure that that 13 million needs to be there?
We do know that we have $13 million worth of projects alone in the stormwater department.
That
We
meets
actually have
guidelines, that meets
45
guidelines.
million that we found that qualify for ARPA funds. However, the timing restrictions of having funds obligated by 2024 is what is allowing us to cap that. We've gone through a lot of evaluation and determining how to spread this throughout the county. I think if some of you may recall, Member Krajewski originally proposed, I think it was $3 million per county board district. So we use that as our starting point, and working toward what we thought we could logically have obligated by 2024 and built by 2026. Stormwater is a unique program that we can't just go out and do everything. We have some difficult permitting, especially when we're dealing with floodplains and wetlands. That does take some time, which is why we are actually only asking for 13 million for that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is not a wish list, this is a want list.
Yeah. So we've gone through just about every webinar Cheryl has sent us for ARPA fund qualifications and staff determination based on our capital plans and capital projects.
And timing, what we can get done
Yes.
through that time period. No, staff and myself.
Yep.
Quick question for you, Sarah. So in that $13 million, I know you said that there was a township match, but does the $13 million also include like buyouts?
That's a great question. And so we are actually trying to get clarification on buyouts alone. Buyouts alone actually do not provide a regional flood benefit. And so buyouts as part of a project is something we have looked at in our contract cost, but buyouts alone, we have not included in that amount. We will still be going out for FEMA grants for buyouts, utilizing that amount that we put in our actual stormwater budget. However, buyouts as a sole program through ARPA funds, we don't believe actually qualify for ARPA funds.
Thank you so much. And also, could I get a list of the shovel-ready projects?
Sure.
Thank you.
We have a lot of them, but we've only.
They're in color too. They're really nice. Sheila, sorry.
So regarding the money, so like Wooddale's receiving some money and we believe we can use it for I&I, right? Inflow, because we're repairing a lot of sewer work. So it sounds like we are going to be eligible.
So I&I is wastewater, drinking water infrastructure, not stormwater infrastructure. And so it is different than what we are asking for stormwater. However, Wooddale would qualify for stormwater projects that are either showing a flood benefit or a water quality benefit within the county.
Well, we're in the fourth phase of our
Yep.
$20 million we spent already.
Right, and we're hoping that you have projects that you're gonna do that also have regional benefits that we can jump onto and work together to get more done, especially in the Salt Creek area where we could get yourselves, Itasca, Addison, get in and do more of larger,
Project. No.
project. By working together, we could pool our money and get a bigger project done.
Thank
you.
Any other questions?
And so thank you, everyone. And if you have any questions after this, please feel free to reach out. I will send a copy of this presentation. I'll send out two of the shovel-ready projects that we have outlined with that $4 million of our first ask, as well as Courtney will send out the meeting minutes, but we will also include those in the September meeting agenda to make sure they get approved.
And thank you, Sarah. I know Sarah and staff have done a lot of work on this in a very short amount of time. And I mean, this is basically running as we would call it in the old day, a bond project list through that, takes a long time and, you're looking at it. But fortunately, we've done a lot of our work. We still have projects there. We don't have, I wish I had more shovel-ready projects. We don't. We had talked about that. We've used all our shovel-ready projects. So now the next phase is to do what we can now, and it gives us a little time to get those other projects up and ready to go and get them completed during this time period. Okay. Any other questions? No? Is there any old business? Remember to start?
I just had a question about, that I should have brought up under D, 9D, but I see that there was a presentation to be determined to the Rotary Club of Naperville. When you know more, Sarah, would you invite me? Because I'd like to come and support our stormwater team when you speak to the Naperville Rotary.
Absolutely. We have reached out to them a couple times to confirm that date and it's moved around.
Okay.
And so there hasn't been a final confirmation on that yet.
Let me know when there is.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other old business, any new business? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by Member Desart, second by Member Garcia, all in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.